Hey, so I thought I would just challenge myself to reading another chapter of my book that um, was published around 9 years ago. And I find that timing to be interesting as well, and especially some things that have happened during the timeline of the last 9 years, and that, it rounds up to the 10th year or a decade since my book came out. I think it's quite interesting. So, and also from a perspective of, things that I or other people may have prayed for, or may have, I don't like the word wish, I really don't. It implies luck and stuff like that. I'm talking about faith and hope, the things we had to really dig deep to get and to hold on to in hard times. So, over the past 9 years, a lot has happened. So, again, reading from a different perspective and from an older, much older, would like to say wisdom in certain ways, but also just age, I guess. Anyway, so I'm just going to head right into it. I remember not finishing the previous video with the chapter, but in a way I did finish it. But I'll start this by saying the last bits, and this was the gift that I exposed in the first chapter. After I share kind of ways that I used to think and questions that I was asking myself at that age, and then answering them, saying actually now it's different, and I could answer some of those questions that I was posing and I was pondering on. So yeah, that was cool, and it was difficult. So yeah. Anyway, so just to cap, steps, the touchstones, the broken, and the in-between, all are an integral part of the process of life. I believe it's a part of the climb to the different meanings of life, or the meanings of the why to this and that, and with some distance, and if you're aware of you are stepping, and if you're actually doing that, and if you are able to find a base place, and set a mark there, and sort of sit down, if anything, and sort of reflect back, and not ruminate, but reflect back and see not only how far you've come, but what it took for you to get from there to here. I think that's also, I think when we take things into a mind set that is trying to measure something, I feel that leads to weird pathways, at least for me. So, but with memories, certain things I can pull to now, and I can honestly say that I can feel the weight of it in terms of the effort that it took, how much sweat for a lot of things. And I know my own body, and I know certain things that I've been through since then, and it's pretty hardcore stuff. I would not let anybody else be me, but nonetheless, something that is very simple, yet so key. And it's not written in this book, but it's something I think both depend on, and I think it's very important to be grateful for, if you are starting to try and be grateful for things in life. And I don't understand why that is hard for people. I suppose I haven't asked enough people and not gotten enough answers on that. But it's kind of a weird question, like, to ask another person, like, what are you grateful for? And not to come across to anyone else like they're not, especially when asking somebody who is quite unhappy because they're kind of either seeming like they're taking life for granted, or they're missing the things that they can literally be grateful for, because it is more than, I'll use myself as an example, because they do have it lighter, or they do have it better, but by no means am I any type of person that other people can look at and compare me to your life, because many people sort of, look, life is not easy. My life has not been easy. That's something. That's why, like, I can wake up a couple of times in a day. Like, not that I'm sleeping the whole time, is what I mean. Is like, just open my eyes and take myself into the moment, and just notice for a second, like, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. That is a big thing, and I will repeat it over and over, especially to other people, because I've learned, I've seen, it's ingrained in me, the value of that. And it's a big difference between, that's one of the key things, if you can check your heartbeat and that you're breathing, and you can just note that and appreciate that, or learn to just start practicing that, or take 5 minutes to go outside and look up to the sky and breathe and take it in, especially oxygen, like outside, that will help a little bit better. If you're in a stuffy room and there's smoke in it or something, or perfume, or you're busy cooking, it's a little bit difficult to breathe in that just pure freshness. So, I ultimately would recommend it in the morning, and if possible, just before the sun rises. And in that, like, in between time where the birds are starting to chirp, but you can't hear anyone that's moving yet, but people are waking up, and I would love to think that other people also can wake up, and one of the things for me is I sometimes have trouble going to sleep because I don't want to let go of the day, or unless I feel comfortable and at peace with everything. Sometimes that has got to do with me like having to accept some parts of the day where it wasn't that I wasn't present, it was that, the brain, certain things I just don't remember. And I can become in a state where I can sort of be open and welcoming to those things coming back to me. But it seems that only happens within quite a stretch of time, and timing is weird. But anyway, so is this. Anyway, and I remember that making the titles for the chapters, I remember, like, all of them were zany, like, and I was like, okay, because I wrote the title of each chapter after, just like an afterthought. So, like, I don't really pay too much attention to that. And much of this book is written in different ways and then rearranged. And then, basically, one can read it in any way. because the structure of the book is similar, like is the same, but the last chapter, like I placed and I wrote actually kind of in the beginning. I just put that whole piece together. I knew that that was the last, that was going to be the entire to this book, which is just an increment of time where I was, I guess, writing and doing some healing that I didn't know I was doing. So, and what I'm observing in this is that there's my own various different type of thought patterns that I was so combusted with, I think, that I can definitely say that, like, you gotta have a pen and paper, you gotta have yourself a diary, you gotta have an outlet. The fact that I'm only talking on a video now is because I've never done it, and I feel that it's important to try new things, and by the same token, life is short. I can breathe, I can actually speak, who knows for how long, and by saying who, I mean, like, nobody knows, so, and doctors can estimate, but it's like, just be nice. Yeah, anyway, now I feel awkward enough. Okay, become aware of what we share. We are united and compatible. That is quite bold. And it's so weird how... Okay, I'm just going to read this. Another gift is time. There are various definitions of time. Here we go. My way of putting it is that it is a cradle for diverse phenomena and a collaboration of what we call the present, the past, and the future. Triple threat, as they say. What is that? Holy moly. Triple threat, as they say. I was in a weird space there, eh? I wouldn't call it a triple threat now, but I automatically think of a bunch of words and associations where what's relevant now and kind of rhymes with it in a weird way. Like, okay, I know this is lame, triple threat, or no, maybe ripple effect, or don't get wet, or like, yeah, my mind can wander into a lot of those things, but triple threat, as they say, I think whenever I say as they say, it's basically about these things that I learned about, like the past, the present, and the future. I was aware of that 10 years ago and before, I suppose I never discussed it as a topic much with friends. I guess a lot of things, and I think we can all relate to those. Maybe we felt that we should have maybe brought it up to discussion, asked why, asked, like, let's throw this in there. What is the past, present, and future? And I really want to know why I called that a triple threat. I think if I have to think if it's just off the bat, triple threat, as they say. Honestly, I really don't like the fact that, I was young, and by they, like, it was, others, it was like cross-checking different sources of information. It's not like a group of people told me, like, just literally researching and just trying to find knowledge and understanding. But now, okay, I would more say, like, you're born, you live, and chances of being born is, I don't know the statistic, but it's like, it is something that is a miracle. It is something quite beautiful. It is something so tragic when that doesn't happen or doesn't go as many moms would hope or parents would hope. Or, sometimes there's a before situation. And, like, yeah, but I mean, just on the simple, when you're born and you're out that, you push out, you come into the world as a human. One very important thing, especially nowadays, that I not well, try not to get too worried about, but also just check that people know that you don't live forever. Like that, you know, you do get born and you will die. So, I mean, sometimes I think of that as a relief, because it's like, I would not want to live forever, and I don't exactly know why I say that now. I think maybe it's because I feel like I have lived for quite some time, and it's not that I have nothing to live for. It's just like forever. That's a bit hectic. I believe that it's important to keep them. I mean, the forever part of life is, I think, just being able to extend it. So I think beyond death or whatever, or pre birth or rebirth, or sometimes in life you kind of like go through like awakenings. I hate that term because it sounds like I'm saying something that's maybe not what I mean, but like waking up into new sort of seasons or parts of your life, and realizing, oh, I'm here now. I'm here now. You kind of wake up and you're present, and you know that. And I think it's very important that when that happens, like just word to the wise, definitely grab hold of that and try and cherish that, and use that opportunity, use that window of like you're waking up, harness that focus and get a hold of encouragement, write a strategy, decide to do something, then start doing it. Because in those times it's very much just like, and don't be shocked and like limp or paralyzed about it. Don't be scared of that when you're seeing things for the first time, or that you feel a real change has happened in you. And I think it's less to do with age. Like, I think some people expect it on certain times. I'm just going to go the birthday avenue. Like, I think people sometimes have a number in their head and then an expectation or somebody else's expectation, or just like some kind of weight along with that number of age, which includes time and a lot of things around the world. Like, you gotta just, you gotta know how to survive. If you fall, you gotta know how to pick yourself back up. I mean, steps. You gotta take steps. You gotta be aware that sometimes you gotta start climbing. Sometimes maybe you haven't been stepping or moving for a while, and you might have to commit, a couple of steps. And that's, I think, for many things now, in my life, with the people that I have met and known and everything, like, one of the things that I can say is that if you have not got a hold of yourself or woken up, it's time. And another thing that I say to certain people, not everyone, but I'm sharing this personally and will post it. But in person, when I do get the chance, I'll say like, what are you waiting for? You've got what you need inside of you. Here, this is all what I see. And I like to have conversations with people about their potential and things like that, and to encourage them. Because a lot of people need encouragement, and a lot of people need that more than being told what to do. Because, I think many people, especially when they're first, like, waking up, they're kind of scared and shocked and stuff. It's important not to, like, especially if they're adults of different ages. And that varies, like, with some people in my life, it's just really, I can pray, I can hope, I can put boundaries down, I can lift them up, I can try in many different ways, and, just still have a tiny reservation of hope that some of the people that I really, really would love to see, or would love to have, just wake up and be here. And that, anyone, if you're hearing this, it's not too late. Maybe you are awake, you just need to hear it, or smell it, or breathe, or do something to, like, initiate that so that you can activate it in a way. And I am by no means saying that you must go take any kind of drug to do that. By activate, I mean literally open your eyes, set your eyes on something else, look around, find something new in your surroundings that you can spot. Now that you've had that woke up into feeling, and you feel like shocked, and maybe feel focused, and maybe don't fall for paranoid, but don't fall for silly words and stuff like that. Those are traps. And then if you feel yourself like spinning in a circle and it feels like chaos, well, then my advice is to just chill, embrace the moment, just be in awe of whatever it is, and try and just be in that moment and remember that moment. Perhaps commemorate it in such a way that you can, in the future, remember that time that you had that sort of like awakening into the next part. I don't exactly want to use the words born again, but some people say it like that. I think for me it's like different cycles, and I would kind of call it a type of that it includes, sort of, for me at least, type of life and death feelings, and having to, like, literally come full circle, having to make peace with a lot of things, having to let go of a lot of things, having to just to acclimatize to certain spaces or shapes, or diagrams, or whatever, processes, whatever, steps, climbs, maybe just a mountain or a desert, or different parts of life which took something. And then, after that, maybe went into a period of rest, and then you woke up and things were different. And then you can just carry on, note that part, but just ultimately carry on. Because whenever you notice and you wake up, and I recommend this as a practice, be grateful. You gotta notice that. And you gotta notice maybe if you're not breathing right, then maybe breathe. Just be natural, just be you, don't think too much, just, I'm just giving, like, little pieces of information that, not to look too much into it, but you're in a moment which is new, and it's important not to think, oh my gosh, what is this, like, I don't know it. Yes, of course you don't know it, but you woke up, and if you're breathing, then it's meant to be, and it's a good thing. And it's kind of an indicator, so like, you can chill for that moment, but also grab that moment, like, here now, as it would happen whenever it is for you. And you'll know, and you can just harness in that focus. Really, like, use that to put time, like, to place a plan out, to decide on something that you want to do, and then set up some steps, set up a structure, a plan, or something. Just basic. You try it in a 5-year or 10-year type thing. And I think that would kind of be more, I know that sounds hard, but I mean, it actually is a little bit more easier because it's not as much pressure that you're putting on your head. And you can just, there's nothing wrong with putting your dreams or things that you want to succeed in life and plan it in that kind of way, just to have it set up, because along the way of your everyday life, which I do encourage you to also be present in, and when receiving or when adapting to new changes, it's important to notice the new things around you and notice the new whatever it is that is unlocked inside you because you've worked through whatever, how, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in life you learn, and you can never learn everything, so you can carry on learning. It's very important. Learn, inquire, be inquisitive, study, try to see wherever you can create balance. The things that you ultimately want and need that will be relevant to all ages, to everyone, to decades to come after you, to yourself when you're older, I guess, also. Start to try and include them in your life, and start to try and also make adjustments in a way that you can think about your lifestyle and be non-hesitant about stepping into it as well, because you have a role to play and some decisions that you can make on a basis of faith, I guess. And I think that it's important to do that, and not to think that, I'm gonna turn this into a picture frame moment, and it's a blank thing, and you're like, okay, cool. No, harness your creativity. Okay. Time is a strong and overpowering force that shapes and changes lives, yet interestingly enough, we cannot see it. Okay, I'm just going to read. The past is a realm from which we learn. It retains memories and multi-consciously, that's a word I made up. I don't like it. Multi-consciously. But I would say conscientiously. Now I feel like I can say longer words. Anyway, holds onto significant experiences, both of which enable us to use them to our advantage, whilst bravely combating the present. Okay, that's similar to what I've said. It's weird I'm speaking before and then it's like, oh, okay. Whilst bravely combating the present. Now, I know what I was saying there, and I've often had to do that in between. Be aware, be awake, and not forget. I don't forget that I fight for things in life. When I say battle, it's not like carnage. It's more like I take things on, bold enough and courageous enough to step up and do things, or to step lively, or to and I think combat is not necessarily a negative word, and I like that I did not choose a word like fight in the present, because that's stupid. You don't fight the present moment, that's then you must just breathe, if you fight, that sounds like you'll be fighting the present moment. If I had said that sounds like you thought, and then you pulled on a string ball and you were like, "Ah, chaos." So then just be like, "You just no chaos." Like, I don't want you in my brain. But something you gotta let it out. Like, so if it's like string or whatever, sometimes a string or like lines to music, to lines to a drawing, you gotta express yourself. Because if you're so full in your head, well, you can't drown it away, and you can't drug it away, and you can't give up. And that is part of life, and that your brain is an incredible tool. Not only a tool, but it's part of you. It's part of life. It's part of life experience. Anyway, so for me in that time, combating the present, I really did have to. It was a struggle for me, because at that time, I was combating the present because I didn't want to be in the present. I didn't want to be alive in a sense, but I couldn't really know and tell that how it really was, or just sort of what I was going through with the trauma, and I don't know what to call it, but like I definitely did fight, and I don't, how many times I would think of giving up and getting up now, but ultimately one of the hardest things for me in life is giving up. So I often think, that's kind of impossible. That's why I've come up with giving up is not an option. It's keep on keeping on. Because I know I'm not invincible. And it's important to be wise about that. Don't play with your life, please. Don't play with other people's lives. Don't do stuff that's just... Be nice. Needless to say, the future is what lies ahead. I think that's a very interesting topic, actually, just by itself. Is it? Is the future what lies ahead? If ahead, what does that mean? Is it ahead as in ahead of your time, or is it ahead of time and you must catch up? Or was it ahead of the time when you were in... So that I would need to be in a different space. It would be something that I would like to think about. It contains opportunities and various possibilities that we are free to grasp onto, allowing them to pull and drive us to do better in the present in order to achieve greater things to come. Now, fair enough. As an 18-year-old, when I wrote this, it's fair enough. What one must remember about the future is that it is unknown. And because it is so, one should not become so deluded in thinking that one can control it. Could have definitely chewed on those words a few more times than I didn't. But I think that falls underneath, those practice what you preach moments. But ultimately, I've only had a few of them, and it's usually when somebody else would tell me that. And I appreciate that, because they would be aware of it, because they would be kind of doing something of a similar thing, and would spot me or check me and be like, yo, and it would be from friends that were loyal or kind and really understood. And so it's important to check yourself, and also have people around you that you can relate to, that can understand you in some way, that you can connect to on certain areas, or that you are able to connect with in such a way that it comes to fair enough. It comes to either agree to disagree. It comes to cool conversations in which this is interesting, and it's a discussion, it's a conversation, it's not an exchange of words, it's more than that. And that's those creating of those moments. And yeah, I think it would be more helpful if we were to use it as guidance, a pathway of some kind. Okay, so from this, I would like to adapt it. I would like to think like, okay, if you are in the now and you're like awake and you activating your brain, you like trying to rein it in. I recommending to go look into the brain, how it works, how your breathing works, etc. Find out more things about yourself. It's important to do that. It's not that, essentially you've got to do that work. And maybe you wake up and you feel like you don't know yourself. And that can happen a lot. Trust me. And that doesn't mean you... don't give yourself a dumb label there. Just don't. And if you do, just try and just ride that feeling out, just breathe it out, just let it out, because it can make your vision foggy. So learning about thoughts, learning about coping mechanisms, learning about different avenues in the brain, learning about how to use your full brain. Like you've got both sides. You've got a skull protecting. This inside you is not empty. It's a gift as well. You can tap into it. I don't know. But yeah, like, I don't do crazy, but like, like, don't be so, perfect. Don't try constraint, protect your head. Like, what's inside you is really, really a beautiful thing that can enhance your life experience or your experience of life. Just the way that you see things and the way that you can walk and the way that you can achieve your dreams and change your thinking and adapt your thinking and imagine a different pathway in your life. I can imagine one right now. It's actually something that I've seen in my own vision as a concept and thought, that would be really cool. And it's literally walkways and pathways and alternative forms of travel, but it does involve steps. But it does involve like bridge and stuff, but it's not an obstacle course. It's basically like a little bit elevated ways of like walking paths that you can take, and there's nothing you cannot help but look around and soak up and see nature that's outside of you. And like as you're walking, you can hold the rails, you can possibly, depending on what the pathway is made of, but in my mind ultimately sort of not suspended, but like built in such a way where you can walk and like you're above the ground, but you start from the ground. And it's not a bridge, but it's like a little inclination walkway, like wood, and you're kind of walking amongst the trees or nature, but from a slightly elevated view, so that you're not just like squished. And also it's a cool shortcut, a nice scenic walk, get from A to B. And I think different alternatives like that could be really awesome. But that's a random thing, but share it in your mind. If that's that, then, and if that makes you feel like you can smile, then that's cool. Then it's something that you can use as a guide, something that you can look up or look to, and just cool. And then okay, but because one does not always know where one is headed on such pathways, one should be more aware of the current and the now. I don't know about more or less. I don't like those words. I think it is important to learn how to experience and embrace the now. That is so true. Always true. Repetitively so. If you forget and then you remember, it's a practice that you can do. As well as see significant relevance in the idea that it could be a valuable aid to our evolving existence. So me, I'm sort of introducing it there, lightly. But now I'm can definitely say it is ingrained. It is so important. So I reintroduce this and I say it works and it's really important and it will help you every step of the way. If you have a way of pulling into the present and being aware of who you are, okay, being aware of a couple of questions you can ask yourself to help with your directive, and a couple of things that you can just remind yourself to just, okay, I know if this cool, just those just little survival skill knowledge, and remind yourself who you are. Don't forget about who you are. Give yourself time. When I say adapt, or when there's changes, I mean it's about embracing more of you. It's not about changing yourself to be something else. Everything that you are is in you. That is why you grow up in life. It's important to keep on growing, and you can just develop further and see, oh, what is this? What's that? How do I feel about that? Is that relevant to me? And ponder on things and sort of think, and sort of reflect on it in a different way, or be just sort of let your mind sort of settle there and think, what is this? What's this new? And also be open to it in the now. And by the way, you can't track the now, so you're going to be fully present in the moment. You're not going to be watched. No. If the time is now, then you can just say, I'm here. I'm here now. It's true. Because there's time zones everywhere. Who cares about that? So you can say, and you can identify in yourself, you are here now. The only way you can't do that is if you're dead. So therefore, if you're here now, it matters. It's important. So wake up. See yourself. Maybe it's time to face yourself. Maybe the now has been ongoingly and you have been combating it. No, I don't want to face it. I want to live in the past, or I want to float my head in the clouds and live in the future that is not really grounded. Anyway, so again, that balance, a valuable aid, survival aid, teach yourself, prepare yourself, and then I say, I almost don't want to read this. And I think for me being 18, going through a bit of trauma, and taking this advice to live in the present and to attempt to refrain from excessively worrying about what you cannot control, for example, the future. I think that's okay. Rather have hope and faith in the blessing that is the future. It exists to pull you, and it is the portal through which various aspirations could be obtained. That I could have used way better English, but I don't want to judge myself too much. I like the night that I was able to, I like the naive parts that I was. I love the parts that I didn't know. I love the mistakes that I made, because I didn't know I was young. But I also like that I was able to express things that even now I sort of, okay, I can just add a little bit to it, and sort of also look at and think, that's interesting. We all have time in common. Oh, this is so true. Come on. We all have the past, present, and the future. It is a mysterious support system that invisibly links us together. Whew. I feel like that is so legit now. With the times, I read this a long time ago. Like, yeah, okay. But anyway, it's not that I'm not that type of person. It's not exactly shocking to me, but it's nice. This particular unity is one which allows us to play a range of interlocking roles in each other's lives within appropriate timing. Okay, I would like to still see what that means. But if I think of interlocking, I think the first thing that comes into mind is like, we're gonna hustle. Like, if I get people, you're gonna be part of my support system, you're gonna be ready to hustle. You're gonna be aware of how I move. And be similar. If if we're gonna move, we need to be able to do that together, almost like interlinked, like locked arms, like hut hut. But also be able to work together and not be glued and not be influenced and not be like threatening, but rather to encourage one another. It's maybe possibly a discovery of a version of yourself that you need to start trying to work with. So interlocking with a new part of you, and interlocking like as in like, okay, I link you in under my arms. I'm gonna go with you for a while. I'm gonna see if this works. We affect one another. We cross and intertwine pathways more often than we know, and through doing so, we gain wisdom, experience, and knowledge. This is true, and I remember watching a series this is probably based on, which is like, in weird ways across the whole world, like you can make connections, or you can reconnect with people that had gone overseas that you knew and then come back, and it's like, what's the odds that you see them again? And those moments are so beautiful because you can't control them, and it is those moments that is very like, in that moment, that very now in the present moment, whenever those moments come. So it's important when you see that moment arising, like it's quite obvious. Don't walk past a person that you knew that you haven't seen in a while and pretend that they or you don't know. Like, come on, don't be petty. Like, don't take chances in life in such a way. Don't chance life. Don't think life is all about chance. It's not. If more, it's opportunities. If you're gonna take a chance, I mean, it's taking a chance on that opportunity based on faith. Okay, I'm gonna walk up and say, hey, how are you? You're like, and if the person doesn't remember me, then I'll be like, oops, my bottom. Like, it's whatever. And sometimes, you'll feel drawn to go to the coffee shop that you like for some reason on a random day, on a whim, and like, you can actually do it, and it's easy, and you kind of crave that coffee because it's made by a skilled barista, and you can sit and there's outdoor seating, and you just like it there, and it's serene. And then maybe you go there, and then you meet someone, and you're like, oh my gosh, where'd you come from? And yeah. Then you get a lovely conversation. I was saying, you can meet people for the first time many times, I think. Linked to the subject of time, I would like to propose an alternate method of perceiving time. What if time was a virtual mass? What if time became too big or too heavy? What could one do to remain standing whilst feeling crushed by this burden? I feel for myself there. I know what I mean. Within those 3 questions. It's directly linked to my mom, and she had passed, so man, I would say, like, don't just hush, all these questions, it's okay. I would say, listen, it's okay, you are fine. I would in fact say, you don't have to do this by alone. If you're feeling crushed, take my hand, I'm going to help you, we're going to do this together. Anyway, in association with the proposed scenario with the weight in mind, I guess I put that in quotation marks, I also know a possibility of where this could head, which is like a whole thing in itself. In mind, I could definitely say that I would often feel as if a day at a time was too long, an hour at a time was too lengthy, a minute at a time found me counting down, and 1 second at a time was hardly bearable. That is hectic, wow. But I think that has to do with counting time, like measuring it, like I first said, like also like counting calories, counting numbers, weighing that up. The more you keep counting, the more weight or age or numbers you're going to associate with that. They're doubling up and just like, nah, why? I mean, the questions are okay because you can come back to them, but I wish I knew, I didn't have to be so hard on myself, or I knew that, or rather had a sense of that I was not alone, and that I didn't feel like I had so much of a burden to carry, and how it was heavy and it felt long to carry. It felt like time would drag on because it was so heavy, because I guess I had expectations of myself to get through or to move through things faster than I did. So then that's where time sort of like changed. I think that's to do with the pain that I was feeling, and healing and growing as well. But I think this is also, for me, what I couldn't understand, what I tried to make into a solution, sort of, is what I say here. Then I realized that if I only bore 1 second at a time, it was okay. And it is okay for you too, because you are not yet crushed. You still have a small window through which you can rid yourself of the load. We all just need to have faith in both ourselves and each other. We simply need to pick up our strengths. Yeah, you need to pick up your strengths. You pick up your strengths. Don't carry your weaknesses around like that's what you are. Drop that. And don't carry burdens around like things that you're so sad and depressed around. That's gonna I don't condone that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think that might be a quotation of like a further speech, if anything, if I were to respect those words. But like, I think is the choice to not act according to and not contribute to doing things, or like live in ways that contribute to some kind of way that could like shorten your life or kill you, that ultimately do make you stronger, that you learn, and then you learn to drop certain things because they no longer serve you. They no longer serve anyone. Even if it's a legacy of somebody else that you're trying to carry on. Oh my goodness, I did that. And it took me quite a few years to say to myself, I've got to let this go. And yeah, I'm not going to go into that. And so again, those small windows, like, and when I say rid yourself of the load, gosh, it's like I probably felt like so. Probably felt like I was underneath a pile of bricks. And I just want to get rid of it. I was overwhelmed. I think I was feeling very overwhelmed there. We all just need to have faith in both ourselves and each other. We simply need to pick up our strengths and push past what we consider unbeatable. Yes. The essential aspect of this concept is that one can bear it. Yeah, pick up your cross. You can bear it. One instinctively develops the ability to move forward, even if slowly. You gotta choose. You gotta see. You gotta bear it. You gotta adapt your perception sometimes. You gotta see, ooh, this is not so lack of thinking. Or you're gonna notice, okay, this stuff I could probably let go. And don't get stuck on how hard it is hard. So, yeah. But ultimately, if you've got to move forward in life, it's often things that you have to face within yourself and sort out there. And then be able to be better and then be better with others. In conclusion, take it 1 second at a time if you must. Before you know it, the previous second will be long gone, and the next second is already passing by. What are you doing? You aren't moving. You are going on. You are bearing the weight, and you are proving that you are able to carry the load. Too heavy is not impossible to overcome. Listen, that is true. And the reason why it is not impossible to overcome, and this is now the crux, and what you have to have is faith. Because as humans, there are many things that are impossible for us to do. But, see that little I'm making space for that. But with faith, create a space where if maybe, it could, you can be open to it could. But just don't say that you can't. That's giving up. Don't say that you won't. That's not going to help you. Try. Just try. Much love.